which I did not know about this fable.
I didn't know about this fable either, and I kind of pride myself about knowing about fables, but I'd never heard of it. And everyone's like, you don't know this fable? Like, where have you been? So,
You've been shamed.
I've been shamed.
You've been fable shamed.
I've been fable Arab shamed. Pre-Islamic Arab fable shamed.
Do you know if Lin-Manuel Miranda's ever seen you play the role? Has he ever been in the audience for one of your performances?
He has, in Brisbane, when we did the show in Brisbane.
That's awesome. So he's still
came
traveling around and enjoying the performances.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, look, if you can get a free trip to Brisbane or to anywhere, I'd take it if I was him.
Free trip to Brisbane and go and see Hamilton. That's a win-win. I've got one tip.
Okay, good.
Do a little bit of reading about American history.
The real guy?
Not even just about, because it does do a kind of chronology of American history. And I think the first time I saw it, I was like, what?
Yeah. Because I don't know anything. I know a bit about the Civil War, but before then, I know nothing.
Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking about Palestinian artist Samia Halaby and why her retrospective has been cancelled, the Emmy Awards, our highlights and other favourite moments.
And the first Saudi Arabian opera, as well as Hamilton, which is making its debut in Abu Dhabi.
This is Culture Bites coming to you from the National News. I'm Farah Andrews.
And I'm Jalal.
Hi.
Hello.
You're in the hot seat.
I am. I'm basically Inas with less hair.
Yeah. Shall we explain?
Shall we explain?
Inas is off in Davos this week, so...
Sounds like a magical place.
It does. Have you seen the
Yeah,
videos?
amazing.
It's so
Snow,
snowy.
ice, very Narnia.
She's in a winter wonderland.
Yeah.
And so we've got you here.
Yes, I'm here. I am the temporary Inas.
You are.
So I'm very excited to be here to chat.
Yeah, we're here to chat. We're going to chat more about things happening in the art world more broadly rather than just here in the UAE.
Yeah, we're international today.
Yeah, we've gone global. We've gone global. Shall we start with something that's very big global news, and that is the artist, not the artist.
The artist.
The artist, Samia Halaby.
Yeah. So this is a very global story, but also very regional.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Samia Halaby is a Palestinian-American artist, art historian, scholar. She's big. She's huge. She's amazing. She's massive.
In your story at the beginning of this year of the 10 artists whose work had been auctioned for the most, she was listed
She was there. She was number 7 or 6. I think she had 2 works actually.
Yeah, I was going to
say
she was in there more than one.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know her, again, she's an abstract expressionist mostly. So she has these amazing paintings about color and shape, and she's brilliant. So she was supposed to have a retrospective, her first in the US.
Her first US retrospective.
Which shows her work from the 70s until present day.
Yeah.
And it's been planned for 3 years.
3 years it's been in the works, and it was going to be shown at the University of Indiana, which is where she actually studied, and she's also taught there. So it's not just a random institution, it's somewhere that she's very closely affiliated with and has had a connection. She's been, I believe, she's lived in the US since the 50s. Yeah, since 1951. Yeah.
So it was supposed to open in Feb.
Yeah.
But then in December the 22nd, she got a call telling her that the show was going to be cancelled, which is because of the official line is that safety for the artworks. But in an interview that we have with Samia, she has said that she was also told that was because of her pro-Palestinian posts on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because she has always been very pro-Palestinian throughout her whole career.
She's Palestinian.
She's Palestinian. So she's been
pro-Palestinian.
Exactly. So it's not like she's been not very active about...
This isn't a change in direction. This isn't a change in pace. And obviously there's been amplified conversation since... But for most people, this didn't begin in October, full stop.
Yeah.
But the conversation didn't begin in October, and this isn't like a change in gear for her. But
so it's interesting, and also because of this, she attempted to try and negotiate with the university to have the show anyway, but it wasn't a fruitful conversation. And so she and the curator of the show have decided they launched a petition, which so far has over 14,000 signatures to reinstate the retrospective.
So it was in late December that they were notified that it was going to be, it was cancelled. It was, I think, initially a phone call, then it was like a one-word email, one sentence email.
Yeah.
That told her that the retrospective was cancelled. And so then I think, like you said, they've been negotiating behind the scenes, and then they went public with it at the end of last week. They spoke initially to the New York Times, and then they launched the, and around at the same time, they launched the petition for change, which has obviously been hugely received.
Hugely received. I think they were surprised by how much, how it was going to be, how many signatures they got on it.
Yeah, there's been.
And I think in the interview that we have as well, that she talks about how so much of the younger generation now are much more aware of what's happening in the region, and so they're more active and they're more wanting to sign petitions. They also want to, add their voice to this kind of conversation. It's sad and it's frustrating.
The thing that, like you said, one of our journalists has interviewed her in the last couple of days, and the story went up yesterday. She says that they put up a good fight, trying to really campaign for the retrospective, which is all you can do, I guess. But then one of the quotes from it that kind of I found pretty painful to read was, my whole life in the US as a Palestinian artist has been rejection. So this for her is it's another blow, but that's what it is, right? It's not a surprise, but it's so
frustrating. Especially because she's in her 80s and she's not only a well-known Arab artist, she is a successful, important, pioneering artist in the international art scene.
She's a well-known artist, full stop.
Full stop. It's not about this is only an Arab artist.
Yeah.
And she recently had a retrospective in Sharjah that ended last year. And if anybody got to see that, you really see how expansive her work is. She's painted a lot about Palestine. And what's really interesting is that this show was also supposed to express her love for the Midwest, which is where she grew up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't specifically a show just about, Palestine or the region. It was about her. It was about her, exactly. So again, I keep saying this word, it's frustrating, but I think a great way for people who know of her work or have just heard of her work to support, obviously, it would be great to sign the petition. But you know what? Google her work.
Yeah.
Download it. Post it on your Instagram. Create more awareness about Samia Halaby and other artists from the region, because I think that's the best way to combat these kind of things.
We should say that the catalogue for the retrospective was a collaboration between Indiana University, but also Michigan State University. And it was initially reported that the Michigan State exhibition was going to be cancelled as well, but it's been confirmed to us that is going to go ahead in June.
Yeah, that's good.
So there will be, and that's it's a different. It's called Samia Halaby Eyewitness, and that's going to be at the Michigan State University Broad Art Museum in June. So there will be an exhibition in the US looking back at her work. But it isn't the one that was initially planned for next month.
And I just want to add one quote as well that she said that I thought was really pertinent. She said, every piece of press that we've received has been embarrassing for Indiana University. This show was supposed to express my love for the Midwest, but professionally, it's not the end of the world. And I think that's really important to remember, that it isn't the end of the world. Just because she's had one canceled show, which was supposed to be her first retrospective, doesn't mean that Samia Halaby's legacy is over. She's going to continue creating more work. And she already has an amazing body of work and career behind her.
Yeah, I mean, and also talk about the high road. What a eloquent response, and kind of this does not make me look bad. This is all a reflection on you, not me. I am the bigger person here, the better person here. And
just one more thing, 14,000 signatures, that's amazing for any kind of petition. So it just shows how people, first of all, obviously care about arts and culture, and they care about this issue specifically, and cancelling retrospectives that have been planned for 3 years. And I think, that's a good way to kind of sum it up. Yeah. Then we should have a little chat about some more regional musical news. Yes, regional musical news. Interesting stuff, because I learned something about this. Are you an opera fan? I am in theory, but I have not seen an opera. Is Phantom of the Opera considered an opera? No, it's a Broadway musical, right? So I think it's a musical. Yeah. So I love the idea of operas. I'm an opera fan if that counts opera. Okay. Yeah, exactly. But as opera, I haven't really experienced it on live, but on screen, I've seen operas on YouTube or whatever. And so there's been big talk about the first grand opera coming out of Saudi. Yeah, which is really exciting. So it's called Zarqa Al Yamama. Yeah. Am I saying that correctly? Zarqa Al Yamama. Yamama. Yeah. Which I did not know about this fable. I didn't know about this fable either, and I kind of pride myself about knowing about fables, but I'd never heard of it. And everyone's like, "You don't know this fable?" where have you been? So,
You've been shamed.
I've been shamed.
You've been fable shamed.
I've been fable Arab shamed. Pre-Islamic Arab fable shamed.
So then we're the first grand opera coming out of Saudi. It's based on this story. Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown of the story?
So I researched it and I asked some family members as well, and I was really surprised and interested by it. It's quite a epic, kind of a gruesome tale. Are we doing spoiler alerts here? I think it's a well-known one.
I think if it's a fable, we can kind of
it's fine.
talk overarching.
Yeah.
Speak broadly.
So it's set in the pre-Islamic times about this woman called Zarqa, which translates literally to blue. Like, I guess, but the feminine version of blue. So she had these like very intense blue eyes that she could apparently see. It's giving a lot of Lord of the Rings. She can see like sort of in distance of up to like a week, and sort of she had intense foresight, but she could sort of see people who were coming to where they were, which were like 3 days away or a week away. And
someone said to me yesterday, this has been like historically confirmed, but I feel like that has to be quite a big asterisk because there's no historical confirmation that anyone was psychic.
No,
right?
I don't ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just in the region, but like ever.
Very intuitive people.
Very intuitive, yeah.
Very
I got
much.
confused because was she psychic or did she have this really good eyesight? Because she could see people, based on what I've read, she could see people in a distance coming towards their tribe. And so she could warn, like, these warriors are coming, like, let's prepare. Like, so that's why I was a little bit confused.
Strong vantage, but I feel like surely not. If this isn't just about a woman on a hill.
No, it isn't. I feel like there's also probably must be some psychic parts to it.
Okay.
And I use the Lord of the Rings reference because all the elves in Lord of the Rings could see like, miles, far away, and they could tell things. That's why I used that reference. But so
that makes sense.
The story is that she was always warning her people, like, these people are going to come, these soldiers are going to come and attack us. So they were always prepared.
Okay.
But because her reputation was very like well known, these soldiers from a warring tribe had these movable trees, or they created trees and they hid behind them. And so she would just see trees, but then they would move closer. And then she was like, oh, something's a bit off.
Quite a Trojan horse story.
Yes, Trojan, yes. And also very Joan of Arcish, because she was like, oh, these trees are moving. Let me like warn my people. But they're like, trees don't move. You're crazy. Like, this makes no sense. Like, we don't believe anything you say. And then what ended up happening is that these soldiers came and they attacked her tribe and they killed her and pulled her eyes out.
Always,
so very gruesome. Yeah.
Okay.
So very gruesome.
I was going to make a joke then, but no, it doesn't feel like the time.
No, please. Dark humor is great. I enjoy a bit
Not
of dark
about
humor.
So the opera is going to be staged from April 25th until early May at a yet to be announced location that I'm sure is going to be absolutely incredible in Riyadh. And it's an English opera singer who's taking the main role. She's called Sarah Connolly.
I was reading up about her. It's really interesting. So she has sung opera. I was reading about her in our article on The National. And she has done lots of operas in different languages, which is really cool. And so she was talking about she's doing training in Arabic and learning Arabic, but also really getting sort of immersed in the like nuance of pronunciation. So she can get the pronunciation right, which is really interesting.
Isn't that an incredible talent that she's able to sing? Not only is she so talented that she's an opera singer. That's already one big tick.
Yeah.
But she can sing and perform in Russian, Polish, and Czech. And now Arabic.
And what's must be so difficult is that it's not just saying the words and singing it and hoping you get the pronunciation out. You have to like get the character, understand what each word means.
Acting and emotion and
I could never.
It is a lot.
But I think operas are supposed to be very dramatics. And this story has all of the makings of like melodrama, war, no one believing you. Yeah,
it ticks like every box for a great opera.
Yeah.
And I think that is that's like obviously one of the great tropes of opera, right? That it kind of it defies language. It's more than language.
Yes, it's just feeling and emotion and tragedy, drama.
Speaking of shows, hit Broadway Hamilton is coming to Abu Dhabi. Well, it's in Abu Dhabi, it's here. And I have interviewed one of the show's actors. So let's go to that interview and then we'll be back with our man about town. And now it is time for us to catch up with Jason Arrow, who is starring in the much hyped, much acclaimed Hamilton, which is here now in Abu Dhabi at the Etihad Arena. Hi, Jason.
Hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. A little tired. It was a big show last night. So, but yeah, great audience.
And
so
everything's kicked off?
Yeah, it has. So we had our first preview last night, and then opening night, official opening night is on Sunday.
Ah, okay. So you got a few days run up into the big opening.
Yeah, a few practice runs. But
and how long have you been in the UAE? When did you get here?
we got here on, oh my goodness, the time zones. We got here on Saturday last week, I think.
Oh, thank goodness.
Saturday
so you've
night.
had some time to acclimatize.
We have, yeah. I mean, we did get straight into rehearsals, but we have had a chance to, get into the flow of things and get onto the clock, as I like to call it.
Nothing beats jet lag like hours of musical theatre rehearsals.
yeah.
As the old saying
Absolutely.
goes.
Yeah.
And so you've been touring Hamilton for a little while internationally, right?
Yes. So the stop we had before this was Manila. And then before that was the Australian touring production, which was just local to Australia and New Zealand. And yeah, so I've been a part of the show since then. So for near on 3 years now. Actually, once it hits March, it'll be 3 years.
So you're well versed in the show. So how would you how would you describe Hamilton to people who have been living under a rock, I guess, and haven't seen the incredible hype?
Hamilton, I guess I would describe it. It does shift over the years. I mean, it's changed so much from, my own personal viewpoint. But I guess generally speaking, I'd say Hamilton is not what you think it's going to be. I mean, you instantly assume it's going to be just about politics, which is not the case. It's about, that's a vehicle in the show used to go into the life of Hamilton and how his relationships with other people affected his life. It's a lot more about, his connection with his partner, his wife, Eliza, what she did for him, what he did do for America, but and also his relationships coming up to power in America that ultimately led to his end. But and that's not giving anything away. It's revealed in the first 5 minutes, FYI.
No spoilers.
So
no
I
spoilers
didn't give
here.
anything away. But yeah, I mean, and the thing is, on top of that, it's the music as well. It's just so diverse. You've got, obviously there's rap and hip hop in it, but you get into the second act, you start getting into like more Broadway jazz. You start getting into just jazz generally. Some of the songs have more of a pop feel, like a Beatles influence, which is more of the King. So there's such a scope of music.
Something for everyone.
And something for everyone, literally.
And in the show, you play the title role of Alexander Hamilton, which was written for and originally played by the creator of the show, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Tell us, were those some intense boots to fill? How was that pressure?
Yeah, at first, I did kind of feel that pressure, and not necessarily on my own, like, not my own internal pressures. I guess it was more so the outside world. I mean, people do like to compare, and that's fair enough. And I know people like to look at what came before as a blueprint for what is about to arrive, which is fair enough, and I totally understand that. But it did sort of mess with my head a little bit. It's not something that I've had to deal with in the past. So it took a second for me to be like, look, it actually doesn't really matter. Obviously, Lin is amazing at the role, and he is going to be amazing at the role because he wrote the show. He knows what he wants from it. So it's easier for him to get into the mindset of what he's looking for because he wrote it. So in my mind, I look at it as not necessarily filling shoes, but creating my own.
And so what kind of, are there any kind of like tangible adaptations or changes that you've made kind of, really make that role your own?
Not entirely. I'd probably say the most major thing is I tried my hardest to make Hamilton as like empathetic as I could at the start of the show, show a bit more of an emotional scope, just to help the audience sort of like get on side with him at first, because he can be pretty intense. He can be pretty arrogant. So there was a fine line of like that arrogance and then making him, likable and believable to an international audience as well. Also Australia is not America either. And getting the audience on side so that in Act 2 we can start breaking some hearts. So,
do you know if Lin-Manuel Miranda's ever seen you play the role? Has he ever been in the audience for one of your performances?
He has, yeah. In Brisbane when we did the show in Brisbane.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
he's
he
still
came along.
traveling around and enjoying the performances.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, look, if you can get a free trip to Brisbane or to anywhere, I'd take it if I was him.
Free trip to Brisbane and go and see Hamilton. That's a win-win.
Yeah, great.
And obviously, so the show is about American history and it began in America on Broadway, and it has traveled. There's been stints in London and now internationally with Australia and the Philippines and the UAE. And these audiences don't necessarily know the American history. It's not taught to them in school the same way it is to an American audience. And so for you taking on the role, did you feel a pressure to kind of read up on American history before taking the role?
I did. I actually, funnily enough, who was in the audience last night, Ron Chernow, who wrote the biography that the musical was based on. And he was in the audience last night, which was kind of cool. So hopefully I get to speak to him at some point. But I did read the vast majority of that book. I think I got to about halfway through. The show starts to take on its own life or its own version of history. And at that point, it kind of, from me anyway, from an acting perspective, it feels like it's kind of pointless to, unless I just wanted to, for my own sake, read up on it just for fun. For work purposes, I have to go with the version of history that I'm given, which is what the show does, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I did read up to a point. Most of my stuff focused on early life, just from psychological perspective. That seems to formulate who people are as adults. So I looked at, his relationships there, the fact he didn't have a family, that kind of plays into things and kind of makes sense if you look at how his relationships played out. So for me, it was like early life and looking at like how early life psychology can affect you as an adult. Which was good for me as well personally, but like from an acting perspective, that helped to formulate the character as realistically as I possibly could.
And we've had you've touched on the variety of genres that the show kind of encompasses. There's most kind of famously the hip hop and rap, which is a very big part of the score and isn't kind of most traditionally affiliated with musical theatre. Did that style of music come naturally to you? Is that music that you've kind of performed and worked with in the past, or was that a bit of a departure?
No, it is, and not in a music theatre sense. In musicals, again, this is like one of two shows, ironically, the other one was written also by Lynn, that have this style of music in it. Or one of two shows that I know of. I'm sure there's more. But yeah, from a music theater perspective, so acting while rapping was new to me. But rapping generally wasn't new because I was a part of quite a few bands, when I was in my like late teens, early 20s in Australia when I was trying to, just earn money doing gigs. So I was in like hip hop R&B bands. So I used to do rap along with that as well. So it's not entirely new to me, no. That was definitely part of my life. My sister used to listen to it all the time as well. So I was versed in a lot of the classics, as you would say. So yeah, it's definitely been a part of my life for a very long time. But acting while rapping, that was a new thing.
Yeah, that's I'm sure it's new to like most people that take on the roles in Hamilton. And then
for sure.
And to do a show as like many nights on the row as you do in musical theatre, there's obviously a pretty intense like physical training that you have to do. So what kind of training do you take on to be able to be in like the kind of acting, moving, dancing, to be in shape for the role and performing every night?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because the show is so specific, I actually think it's just like a happy accident if you happen to have the skill set to do it. There's no, I'm sure schools are doing it now, but back in the day, there was no like real training for rapping while singing.
Right.
Patter was the closest thing, and that's still quite different. And especially for a whole show. So that like in terms of training, there wasn't really anything that sort of prepared for that. I guess when I got the role, I kind of just tried to look at it like spoken verse, slam poetry or something like that. I just tried to look at it like, how can I put this across in a way that makes narrative sense, but also pays respect to like rapping generally. And that's not to say that all the characters rap, just to be clear. Hamilton, my character, just happens to rap most of the time. So like 90% of my show is rapping. For everyone else, they drop in and out of rapping. It's mostly singing for other people. So yeah, like a specific training, there isn't really one. We just have like 6 weeks of rehearsals, which is still longer than the standard, which is usually 4 weeks. And most of that time is doing just act one. Act one takes about 4 weeks to put on its feet. So and then 2 weeks for act two.
Wow.
So if there's a lot of moving elements and moving parts in act one, that can cause it to be quite dangerous if you don't do it right.
The inner workings are interesting. So then what are your thoughts on the Etihad Arena, where the show is being staged? And
it's great. It's awesome. So this is the second time we've done the show in an arena setting. I think this time it's a lot more intimate, which is nice. It still keeps the flavor of it being a musical, but also it has a concert feel because it's got the vastness of it being in an arena. So it's doing two things at once, which is kind of cool. The sound is like it's pumping, so like it feels like a concert. So it's great for us on stage because we have a lot of audio feedback of what it feels like out in the audience, which is nice. And yeah, it's just been laid out really nicely. I mean, it's the first time that I've ever performed a musical, and then there's like box seating in the top like portion of the thing. There's people like, having a drink and like standing up watching the show. I think that was the coolest thing, I thought, because I've never ever performed a show and there's been box seating.
Yeah, this is like a mixture of musical theatre and also kind of like a little taste of what Taylor Swift is getting every night on the Eras tour.
Yeah, the smallest taste. Yes.
I am extremely excited about coming to the show. I'm coming next week, and we've got some journalists from the team coming down tonight, I believe, to get a bit of a preview of this show. So that's
cool. Awesome.
Super exciting. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been great chatting to you.
All good.
And
it's been great. Thank you.
I hope everything goes well. And we're back.
Hi. Great interview.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm so excited. I'm going to see the show when it's next week or week after.
Have you got tickets?
I got tickets. I got them like when it's for my friend's birthday. So we're going to go and we're going to read. I'm really excited. I've never seen it. I know nothing about Hamilton. I'm like 1% of the global world that knows nothing about Hamilton.
Yeah, you're the person I referenced that lives under a rock.
Yeah, basically.
I've seen it in person in London on the West End, and I've seen it on Disney Plus. It's amazing.
I heard that Disney Plus one was great.
Yeah, that's the original Broadway cast with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you're going to really enjoy it.
I'm really excited.
I've got one tip.
Okay, good.
Do a little bit of reading about American history.
The real guy?
Not even just about, because it does do a kind of chronology of American history, and I think the first time I saw it, I was like, what?
Yeah, because I don't know anything. I know a bit about the Civil War, but before then, I know nothing.
It's about the founding fathers and the kind of beginnings of the American government as it is today.
Okay, cool.
Which sounds quite dry, but it is the opposite of dry.
I've heard this. So yeah, that's great. Actually, I'll do that.
Yeah. That's my tip for everyone. Thank you. Hamilton, go do some reading. Go learn some history. But now, we have to talk about what's probably been the highlight of my week.
And my week.
Well, it was your birthday yesterday. Can we shout that out?
Oh, yes. It was my... my birthday last week was also a highlight. I forgot it was my birthday, actually.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Thank you. It was my birthday.
But birthdays aside, the Emmys. In many ways, everyone's birthday.
Award season is everyone's birthday.
Oh, it really is.
So they were on Tuesday morning, our time, but Monday night for US, yeah.
And you and I were both up bright and early and writing about them, which was, I genuinely really enjoy it, writing about award season.
I love it. I mean, I love more the social aspect of it and what happens that we can't expect, as well as like the awards.
Yeah, the awards are, they're great, but they aren't the most interesting.
But they aren't the most interesting part, no.
Should we clarify something that's being a bit confusing about the Emmys?
Yeah.
They were the 2023 Emmys, not the 2024 Emmys. We will still have them. So in September, the Emmys that we just had were delayed because of the writer strikes and the actor strikes. So they were meant to take place in September, like right in the heat of the strikes. So they were delayed until January in the thick of film award season. So these are all television, and they do a year of television from halfway through 2022 to 2023. So that kind of makes hopefully some context for like where the big winners kind of fit in.
Yeah.
And why we're probably going to speak about the Emmys twice this year.
Yeah, because it's going to be again in September.
Yeah. It'll come around again faster than we know it.
So what was the highlight for you? Should we start with red carpet? Because you did a great story on the red carpet.
Yeah, so I did the fashion analysis,
Yeah.
and I really like writing about red carpet fashion because it's interesting for me when I find it boring, and it's interesting for me when I love it. This year it wasn't my favorite.
I have a hot take on that.
Do you want to tell us now?
Yeah. So I've noticed since last year that the red carpets have become more and more kind of not dull, but very safe, like black and white outfits.
Everyone was in black and white.
Yeah. Or like one like bright red thing. And it's like all the silhouettes are even like very like trumpet or these mermaid silhouettes or like a plain A-line. And I think, this is my crazy theory, is I think stylists and celebrities are scared to wear anything that's too out there in case they become a meme.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like we don't want to be a meme. We want to just look elegant
And
on
you
our
are
night.
so embedded in meme culture.
Yeah. I remember last year, the woman who had that big thing in the Oscars, nobody could see behind her. She became an instant meme.
Or then there's the opposite. There's this people that people don't know that stylists want to turn into a meme, and they make a statement through fashion. But the people that we all know the names of, they play it. But I also will say that I think a lot of, particularly actresses, have been playing it safe for like the last 5+ years.
I really think it's because they're scared of becoming memes. I really believe it's that.
And I'm here for the girls. I'm always here for the girls. But when it comes to red carpet fashion, I prefer actors at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, still with the actors, I feel like, okay, I'm wearing a skirt. I'm so different, cool Harry Styles. That's not that. Like,
Timothy Chalamet in a halter neck wasn't for me.
No, but I liked the host, Anthony Anderson.
Yeah.
I like what he wore. Like he had cool embellished, like embroidered,
he was wearing
flowers. It was cool.
I think it was velvet and embroidered. And then Donald Glover was wearing something quite similar in like slightly smaller embroidery, also like a texture suit, which I really liked.
Yeah.
I had a few favorites that I liked.
Tell me, let's see if we match, because I have a few favorites as well.
I did like Selena Gomez. She was wearing Oscar de la Renta, and I thought she looked a lot more comfortable at the Emmys than she did at the Golden Globes.
I think because she had her +1 there with her new official boyfriend.
At the Golden Globes, she was with Taylor Swift, so she must have been comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, her look was nice.
What did you think of Suki Waterhouse in her Valentino with her bump?
I wasn't a fan. Like, I felt like she could have done something cooler with the bump. Like, I felt like the bow tie with the strap was like all a bit too much. I didn't even recognize her, to be honest. Like, even the hair, I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan.
I will enjoy anything in Valentino red, so that was a tick for me. And it kind of did fit into there's a lot of red on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy Sarah Snook from Succession in her Vivienne Westwood gown?
I love Vivienne Westwood, so yes, but it wasn't in my top. You know who I did love? Even though it's really cliche, Ortega. She was in a Jenna Ortega wearing Christian Dior. And like that whole sheer with embellishment things is like really popular now. But I think she looked, because she's always wearing very dark things. So it was nice seeing her.
It was a safe gown, but it was quite fairy tale. And like you say, a departure from her Wednesday character.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite was Ayo Edebiri. I hope I've said her name correctly.
Oh my God, the bubble leather Louis Vuitton thing.
It was perfect.
Yes, it was really good. It was like really cool, fun, but also like really elegant.
Yeah. I'm about to contradict myself.
Okay.
Buckle in. If I never see another strapless dress on a red carpet, I'm fine. I'm done. I'm ready for us to leave behind those entire genre gown, even though Ayo's was strapless. It was different.
It was different. It was cool, and
it was like structured in a bubble, like you described it,
and it fit her personality, which I like.
And then there was a lot of like big celebrity moments during the ceremony.
Yes,
which you got to write about.
I got to write about, which I loved. I mean, my favorites was Christina Applegate.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Christina Applegate was diagnosed with MS.
Yeah.
Last year, I think, during the last season of her show.
I don't know exactly when she was diagnosed, but I know it's when she kind of started talking about it.
Yes, and she went on stage to present the award for like I think best lead actress in a comedy, and she was holding a cane, and she looked visibly different, obviously, and she was also escorted by the host, Anthony, to go on stage. And she got a standing ovation. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Christina Applegate has been huge for years. She started acting when she was an infant.
Yeah, so that was like during the show, they did a bit of a look back at her career.
Yeah.
Footage of her as a baby on
Days of Our Lives or one of these soap operas, and then on Married with Children, and like she's great. And what's so funny is that when everybody, and this shows you what a comedic talent she is, right? So everybody stood up and started giving her a standing ovation, and she said something along the lines of like, you're all standing up and you're shaming my disability.
Yeah, you're a bit, yeah.
Which was hilarious.
And then she made a joke about losing weight.
Yeah, and she was like, body not by Ozempic. Which is...
We can't make any claims. Don't get us shut down.
But it's just a cool... It just shows you like how she's able to make fun of herself and make fun of the situation and also be touched. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Another highlight.
Niecy Nash, who won for the show that she was on, Dahmer, which is about the Netflix show, the serial killer, which you've seen, right?
I do. Well, yeah.
But
I like true crime.
Not a fan. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I was going to say I loved her speech because, it was very emotional. And it was also kind of funny because halfway through she was like, I really want to thank myself.
I love that.
I love that. She took a minute to thank herself and, thank herself for being there and for doing all the hard work and telling all the beautiful people in her own words that, I did that. I did all of this.
I think there's like not enough people that are like, hi, this was my work.
Yeah. I did this. I'm here.
This.
I persevere.
Obviously, there's a lot of people around you. It takes a village, etc., etc. But you have to back yourself a bit. And I loved that. I liked that energy.
Same. Very Snoop Dogg energy. He did that for his Hollywood Walk of Fame. Typical. I want to thank me. This is actual word. So I love that. I love that vibe, and I hope it keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the night belonged to two shows.
Yes.
The Bear, my fave.
And
they won everything.
Yes, and Succession, right?
So The Bear won everything in the comedy The Bear won everything in the comedy category, which might be a surprise. Have you watched The Bear?
I haven't. I know you keep telling me.
I'm obsessed with it.
And I it's on my list.
Don't go into it thinking it's a lol a minute. That it might have won every comedy award, but that is not a big laugh.
Okay.
There are laughs, but it isn't a big laugh show. So potentially, but there are comedic moments for sure.
Yeah.
And then Succession obviously just cleaned the board in the drama categories.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it was last season. It's like a well-loved show.
It was huge.
Huge. And I mean, those two shows I haven't seen, but watching the Emmys made me realize like I need to watch these shows. I need to be in the zeitgeist. I need to understand what's happening.
Definitely have to watch. I would watch Succession first. I mean, it's long. The Bear's more of a quick watch. It's 2 seasons, half an hour.
I need to get out of my real Housewives bubble and experience the real world.
If you would.
If you don't mind. That and romantic comedies need to just go on the side. I need to like enter the real world again.
They'll be there waiting for you when you come back.
They will be. Yeah. So I need to.
Yeah, and so Succession's big winner of the night was Kieran Culkin.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, I used to think of him as Macaulay Culkin's little brother. He's his own person, but in my head, he is always Macaulay Culkin's
That
little
is what
brother.
he is.
He
That's
is.
accurate.
And he had 2 great moments on the stage, sort of. One was this like hilarious fake feud he's having with Pedro Pascal, is how you pronounce his name. And the Golden Globes, when Kieran won in the same category as Pedro, he said, haha, I beat you, Pedro, something along those lines. Mine, and he was holding the globe close to his chest. So in the Emmys, when Pedro was up on stage to present an award, he had his arm in a sling since the Golden Globes, and he was like, he said it very seriously. I need to tell everybody, like, Kieran has beat the out of me. This is why my arm's in his leg. Yeah, he's beat me up.
We'll paraphrase.
That's why and what's hilarious is when the camera panned to Kieran, he had this like deadpan, straight, serious face, like, yeah, I did that, which is such a great moment. Like, I love it when actors just are in the moment and they do stuff.
Along with each other.
So that was hilarious. And then when Kieran won for Succession and he was on stage, it was such a sweet moment. Maybe if you're a wife, not so sweet. I don't know. And he was like thanking his wife. Thank you, Jazz. Thank you, for I love our 2 kids. And by the way, Jazz, I want more kids.
Which is quite a big declaration.
Exactly. And he's like, you told me maybe if I win, I'll get more. And she was laughing, but who knows? Like that car ride back home, you embarrassed me. I don't want more kids.
She seemed pretty touched by it.
Chilled.
So there was like no. And
that was nice.
Big night. Yeah, he won Best Actor. So. I don't want to do like Succession spoilers for anyone that hasn't watched it, including you. But basically, the only awards that like Succession lost to, I think, were ones that they had like multiple nominees in.
Oh.
So they basically like they cleaned the board. That might not be 100% accurate, but like pretty much all their losses were like against themselves.
Got you.
And
not a bad way to lose.
Not a bad way to lose. And then so there's in Succession there are 3 brothers.
Yes.
and one sister.
I know the
the premise.
Yeah, premise.
And then so from the beginning, there's like one brother that everyone's kind of like really backing, and that's Kendall, played by Jeremy Strong. And in 2020, that was like his year. He won like every TV award. And then as the show developed, there's another brother who's Roman, who's played by Kieran Culkin. And he's always like a player, like not like a player, like he's a player in the game. And he's he at the beginning he's a bit dismissed, and
is he the youngest brother in this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he gets stronger and like more business minded, but he is still
good
kind
arc.
of And so it kind of mirrors the TV show that he is the one who's like come out on top this year, beating Jeremy Strong, who did not go to the Globes.
He didn't?
No, he definitely didn't go to the Emmys. He was not there.
Oh, interesting. Is there drama about why?
I think there was some. I don't know if there's drama about why he didn't go, but I know that he was a real
method actor.
method.
I've read about this. Yes.
And Brian Cox has sort of said that he was method.
Yeah.
And so there's maybe like rumors that he wasn't the easiest to work with, but he did the job. He did it well. So you got to back that.
Yeah.
We've just been hyping other actors that do it. So
I don't really get method acting. I just don't understand it. I know that, what's his name, who I love? Marlon Brando. He's like started this whole method acting thing.
Right, okay. Then Daniel Day-Lewis is obviously like a very vocal advocate of method acting.
Yeah, it seems a bit strange to me, but as an idea, but I'm not an actor, so what do I know? Nothing.
Would you not fully commit yourself to anyone?
Yeah.
And then obviously there was like the nice moment when Matthew Perry was honoured. Well,
and the memoriam, among other people, which was shocking because I didn't realize we'd lost a lot of actors and personalities over the last year. Like Barbara Walters, I thought that was like much longer. I didn't realize it was over the last year.
Yeah.
So it was a sad, somber moment.
The Emmys window.
Yes, Emmys window year.
But yeah, it was a sad, somber moment, and they were playing the Friends theme tune.
Yeah,
like
a more stripped down. Yeah. It was sad.
Do we want to do some of your man about towning?
Yes,
because you have been out.
I have been out and about. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, and I'm here right now. So I want to talk about one of my favorite galleries in Dubai, the Third Line in El Sakar Avenue. They always have brilliant shows. So currently, right now, they have 2 separate shows in one space. Downstairs, they have a show by Puran Jinshi, who is an Iranian-American artist. She's amazing. So her work is influenced by climate change, specifically the story of a Guatemalan farmer who had to leave his land because of climate change.
Oh, okay.
And the show is called, it's a great name, Fly Like Dandelions. And she paints these landscapes, very eerie but very beautiful. And they're sort of like, I would call them like ghost landscapes. It's kind of like what happens to the landscapes after really bad climate change. So you have all of these trees that have no leaves and they're very dark, and it's like sort of like it's a night sky, and it kind of reminds me of this is a very mainstream reference, but very Tim Burton-like vibe.
Yeah,
it feels like and it's also the way she paints is like illustration. It's a very illustrative way of painting. So it feels like you're reading, or you're looking at the illustrations of a folk tale about a world that has been destroyed because of climate change. Okay. So and also when you're looking at the paintings, they feel 3D. You're like, oh, these trees are kind of coming out. But when you go really close, you see she uses different shades of black and different shades of ink in a very clever way. Create that depth in that 3D. So it mixes all of these different references, like sort of like a childlike way of approaching illustrations, but also it has this like layered deep meaning, which is, really sad about climate change. And it's based on a real story, So I think you guys should watch the show, go to the exhibition and see it, because it's a stunning exhibition, but also it has a lot of layers to its meaning as well.
And you get 2 exhibitions for the price of 1.
Yes, exactly, which is free because these exhibitions
I was going to get that.
Are free. The second exhibition is by Cameron Samimi, who is an Iranian Norwegian artist who was raised in Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he came to the UAE for, I think, 3 weeks, and he spent time in the desert and sort of experiencing and observing the UAE landscape. And he created really interesting work. So he created some massive paintings, and he got these rocks from the UAE, and I don't know how he did it, but they're like vertically sitting on top of each other, and they're like defying gravity, quote from Wicked.
So he came here short term.
Yes.
inspired? Did he come here with the view to create work, or was he just inspired when he was here?
He came here with the view to create work based on the UAE landscape. And he represented the UAE, or he sort of reimagined the UAE in particular parts of the mountain landscape, the color of the sand, the earth, in these rocks, as well as these paintings. Some of them are like sort of close-ups of, you know, when you cut through a rock or through mud and you have these like sort of layers of like different colored clay. I think he sort of took those colored or stages or phases and sort of magnified them on these massive canvases. So it's a really interesting look or perspective of the UAE landscape from somebody who, you know, doesn't live here, has never been here before, and is reimagining them using his own perspective. So I really like that. I love seeing other people's perspective of the UAE because, you know, for somebody who lives here and grew up here, you kind of would not see UAE in that way.
Not to say we take it for granted, but it's just that you don't notice those fine details.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But his work is really beautiful. Like these rocks, they're just stunning how he's put them, and then he paints gold inside some of the cracks of the rock. So it's kind of like taking these very natural things, and, you know, gold comes from the earth, and sort of making these comments about them. I don't know. I think it's a stunning
There's that Japanese
show.
practice where you mend things with gold.
Yes, if it breaks, you mend it with gold because you're better once you're broken and put back together. Beautiful sentiment.
That is a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah.
And then what else have we got?
So there's lots of stuff that's coming up. So Dubai Opera House is having a show for 3 days from the 25th to the 27th, I think.
Okay.
The Little Prince. I don't know how to pronounce it in French. Le Petit Prince. Do you know the story? It's a children's story
Children's book.
about like an astronaut who's like traveling around the galaxy and meets like a prince of a little planet. I'm not really familiar with the tale, but it's very visually, the children's illustrations are always very visually appealing. So this show in the Dubai Opera House is kind of mixes, it's kind of like Cirque du Soleil, but it's not from them. It's like acrobatics and music and light. So it's not like So it's not like a dialogue kind of show. It's like a very sort of like immersive, expressive performance kind of show.
Super family friendly then.
Very family friendly.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
And that's next week.
That's next week.
Okay, awesome.
And there's also some really cool stuff that's going to be happening next week that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to keep everybody in suspense.
Yeah, go and see it this week and then come back and tell us everything.
Exactly. So watch the space. That's it from us today here at the studio. So thanks for listening.
And if you like this podcast, please like and subscribe on your choice of app and tell all your friends and family about us. Bye.